Hello again, my name is Sandra Sinamapenu. Let's do the second half of business. In the height of the banking and financial sector problems, the issue of weak regulation and supervision was on the chopping board. Many market watchers were of the view that there were too many regulators in the financial system. Government, in response, established the Financial Stability Advisory Council. But is this the best way out? Philip Namfuri sits with Dr. Sam Mensah, a financial economist and CEO of SEM Capital Advisors Limited, on the business edition of PM Express.
Now we have the Financial Stability Advisory Council, which is a nexus between all these regulators, including the Ghana Deposit Protection Corporation. I know you have written a bit on regulation, financial sector regulation, where we are as Ghana, as a country now, with a state of development. Is this model the best for us?
Well, the current regulatory model that we have, or what we've had to date, is what we might call the silo system. You know, every segment of the market has its own regulator. We have insurance with the National Insurance Commission, Securities and Exchange Commission, banking with the Bank of Ghana, and pensions with NPRA. So it's been a silo system, and there hasn't been that much coordination between them. And the recent inauguration of the Financial Stability Council, I think, is a step in the right direction. It is going to solve the problem of one sector being left out when there are crises in the market. But it does not really quite solve all the problems, because we still have a very poor market conduct regulation. And you can think of regulation as being in two dimensions. Okay. There is market conduct, which is really about how business is conducted, what products are being sold, what are the rights and obligations of all participants in the market. That's market conduct. And then we have prudential regulation, which is really about the soundness of the financial institutions. Okay. And what some countries have done is that they decided that, look, we don't want a distortion of mandates or roles, and therefore we're going to create one institution that focuses on market conduct regulation, and another institution that focuses on prudential regulation, so that we don't get the mandates mixed. And sometimes there can be conflicts of interest between the two sides. So an example of a conflict of interest might be that the prudential regulator is too focused on the soundness of the financial institutions, that they don't pay attention to how they are actually conducting themselves or doing business out there.
So you can catch Philip Namfuri and his astute guest on the PM Express Business Edition tonight on the Joy News channel at 9 p.m. and also on channel 421 on DSTV. Now let's do something different tonight. The transfer window for the English Premier League is closed. Huge deals and unbelievable ones, of course. And I'm sure some of you are wondering why the English Premier League is a big deal in this part of our world. Of course, it is a big deal. It is the most watched league in the world, the most expensive league, and the most competitive league in the world. But in all this, where are all the monies going to? What is the impact of these deals on the UK's economy? And possibly, what are the lessons Ghana can learn, if any, from the EPL for economic growth? The man who has been running and talking all day, Gary R. Smith, is here to help us understand this. Welcome to business.
Thank you.
It's been a busy day, right?
You don't say.
All right, so, I mean, the transfer window is closed. How was business on the markets today in general?
It was a busy day. I mean, there were last-minute deals, which is what for us sports journalists creates the drama. And when there are last-minute deals, the program that we did today, you know, will be successful because there's a lot to talk about, and then we can justify the airtime. And when deals like that happen, and you can justify airtime at big stations like Joy News, it then translates into more demand for the Premier League. Okay. So when the drama is reported, I mean, some would say that why are you reporting on a foreigners league when there's the local league? But that's exactly what it is, because it's exciting. Some of the deals we saw today were crazy. I mean, there was
Can we just jump on one of them?
So like Alex Iwobi from Arsenal moved to Everton for 40 million. And Alexi will be in Ghanaian terms. He's an average player. I mean, when I say, yeah, he's like Samuel Owusu of the Black Stars. You know, I mean, average player.
Okay.
But because of the hype around the league and everything, you know, you get all these stories. And because Arsenal now have 40 million for a player they developed in the academy, that's a profit of 40 million they can splash on a whole lot of other things.
I'm glad you're talking about the Samuel Owusu kind of player in the EPL, and it's just about the English clubs and then the English media, the way they are able to hide their players. I remember somebody like Andy Carroll, for instance. I think he's an overhyped player, but he gets all the good deals.
Today he's moved to Newcastle again.
I know.
You know, so it's something that we can learn.
We'll come to that. We'll come to that, what we can learn actually. But yesterday we spoke about the clubs, smaller clubs, no mean to disrespect them, but the smaller clubs, for instance, pay huge sums of money in the EPL. What's this money is, I was asking actually, where are they going to? And we're talking about the impact on the UK's economy. So we have a PowerPoint presentation to show you what.
Sure.
Yeah. So can you take us?
Yes, I can. Thank you very much.
Okay.
So you were talking about the smallest clubs yesterday, and 3.3 billion total tax contribution to the UK Exchequer, which is their national treasury.
Okay.
Now, if the government of Ghana had this amount of money coming into, we will take football a bit more seriously. But you see, you nurture things like this. They consider the Premier League as a product. There was a point that people of a certain generation remember that it wasn't this glamorous.
Okay.
When Sky, or what they used to call B-Sky B, which is a precursor to what the Sky Sports and the Sky News that we know, took the product and they decided to commercialize it. They turned it into the financial beast that we see. Now, the entire UK economy built their weekend around the Premier League because it's such a big deal.
Talk about the TV rights.
Transportation, because fans have to go to and from. Even in the UK,
pubs.
the pubs, yes. But as you know, in the UK, we watch more football of the Premier League than they do in the UK.
Why?
That's a good question. They have stopped showing Premier League games locally when the games are in session. On TV, you can get it on local TV. Why? At 3 p.m. so that you can go to the stadium and pay.
That's a good thing.
Yes. So we in Ghana actually watch more games and those of us in Africa than those in the UK.
Okay, so there's more jobs also for the locals.
Exactly, exactly. Look, they have 100,000 jobs from football alone. That is huge. And then a 7.6 billion contribution to the UK GDP. Yesterday we were talking about the fact that the Premier League today, at the time we finished, had 1.70 billion in sales alone, just from the Premier League in this window. And the total is 7.6 billion. So yeah, in terms of the employment, that's what we said, 100,000 jobs. Can we move on to the next slide, please? Of the total employment impact, 90,300 was for the clubs alone.
I see.
Of the 100,000, 90,000 came from the clubs, and then 7.6 billion to the UK gross domestic product.
Interesting how much the UK is making out of football. We know the likes of Michael Essien, that's Samoa Gyan. So you talk about who were those who were in the Premier League at first.
Andre
Now,
Ayew, Jordan Ayew.
Jordan as well. These days you don't see so many Ghanaians in the Premier League. It's dwindling. How can we prepare the locals here, our teams? I'm talking about even the local teams, so that we can get more out there in the Premier League and the impact on our economy.
Well, from the business point of view, the simple thing is to invest in grassroots football, because once you invest in grassroots football, you are going to nurture them at an early age so that they can be sold early to these clubs, and that's what they want. They want young, energetic players. So at age 18, if your player is in the Premier League and he's from Ghana, by the time he's sold to the second and third club, he can make some good money.
All right, Gary, permit me to sound a bit impossible.
Sure.
How can we position the Ghana Premier League to look something like the EPL? Maybe I'm just comparing apples to
No, you are
oranges.
not. You are comparing a small apple to a very big orange, and you might need to give me a drink or two for us to have this discussion.
So how can we do
because
that?
we can't talk about that in a minute. There's no way I can do justice to that.
But it's
Unfortunately,
possible, right?
It is possible. South Africa have done it, Egypt have done it, and the North African leagues have done it.
All right, I'm sure your club didn't spend that much. My club didn't spend as well, but we'll have more on business, and the commodity news is up next. Great time with me on business. My name is Sandra Esenam Afenu. You can get more news on our website, myjoyonline.com/business. Have a great evening.